Thank you. I feel so powerful. And it's great that you're here because tonight is going to be a night where you connect with your own power. So I'm very excited to have everybody here because it's an honor to be part of this reunion, right? It is a reunion, a union of past and present, a union of our programming and our potential, right? It's a union of what we should do and what we could do, and breaking through the confines and the constrictions to really achieve something deeper. My experience is most humans believe they operate from a place of free will. But the reality is, my observation is that free will is more akin to a goldfish in a bowl. We have free will to be able to move in small directions, but we don't really own our potential. This is really, it's close to my heart. If you were with me when I first discovered the struggle between what I should do on one hand and what I could do on the other, you would have been sitting beside me looking through the windshield out at this infinite blue Vajra sky, right? And you would have heard the engine rumble, and you would have looked out the window and saw this green shag carpet of trees a half mile below and watched me slowly pull the wheel back on this little Cessna 152. I was pulling the nose up and slowing the airplane, and you would have noticed when the shadow on the ground came to a stop, and the stall horn went off in that moment, and I was at that inflection point between what I should do and what I could do. And both of those had consequences. And this, of course, goes all the way back to when I first came into the world. Right? We come into the world, this feral little creature, unconstrained, uncontained, wide open, wild energy. And then what happens? What happened for me? I started to have experiences. And through those experiences, I learned to constrain, to restrain, and to be a good boy, to be the responsible one, to be the smart one. And in Michigan, where I grew up, it's car country. So I learned to be an engineer. And that was the should I grew up with. And so I spent my life pursuing these deeper drives that I wasn't even aware of, to the extent that I went to college studying engineering. Of course, I'm the good boy, doing what I should. But that deeper flow of energy kept pushing through what I should, and molding and changing and created conflict in my life. So the engineering became aeronautical engineering. And the aeronautical engineering became flying airplanes, because that was the wildness that wanted expression. Me traveling the world. Nothing could be more exciting than that. So here I am in this airplane, completely bored, silly, practicing flight, straight and narrow flight. And what do I start doing? Pulling the wheel back. Pull the wheel back until I hit that point where what I should do gives way to what I could do. And the rules of gravity take over and undermine the rules of aerodynamics, because what I should do in that moment is push the wheel forward and return to straight and level flight. What I do is pull the wheel back, and the stall horn goes off, and I kick the rudder as hard as I could. The airplane rolls over into a spin, and in that moment of chaos, it was complete freedom. The airplane is spinning upside down, rolling towards the ground. The trees are getting closer and closer, but all the constraints were gone. There was no should. There was only that moment of pure, vital aliveness. I have never felt more alive than that moment. Now, these little Cessnas are designed to be ultimately stable. When you take your hand off the wheel, they will return to straight and level flight. Although, as the 18-year-old I was at the time, who knew everything, I overcorrected, came out upside down, and now the only way out was all the way through. So now here I am, dive bombing at the ground, pulling the wheel back, and as I pull the wheel back, the gravitational force increases, pulling the blood out of my head, and I'm going into what they call a gray out. My consciousness is starting to shrink. The stall horn is going off. I'm in the never exceed speed, and I can feel the sweat dripping off my head. And as I skated just above the trees, I had this moment of inspiration. Kevin, this is not the career path for you. So I did what any normal 18-year-old buck would do. I landed that airplane, literally hugged and kissed the ground. I was done. I sold my car. Within 2 days, I had a motorcycle, packed it with a backpack, a tent, and a sleeping bag, and I was gone. Much to my mother's dismay, she was a nurse at the hospital, and she was in tears when I left because she saw what happens on motorcycles, and I'm 18, I'm going. She said, where are you going? I said, I'm going to the coast. I remember when I circled around the Great Lakes, it was like I could see my identity in the rearview mirror. And when I made it through the Great North Woods, it was like the blinders started to come off. And up through the rolling plains, I started to feel a deeper sense of peace and contentment, letting go of what I should do and stepping into the full potential of the moment. When I hit the Rocky Mountains, I felt so alive. I felt lighter. And I remember stepping off the motorcycle and just looking at this vista. And there was this sense, this lightness. And I looked back at my motorcycle, and my backpack was gone. I had lost it about, 6 hours ago. So it was a process of truly letting go. In a way, trying to be that fish jumping out of the tank. I made it all the way to the Pacific Northwest corner, up into Washington on Highway 1. And I started then making my way down the Pacific Coast Highway. And as I made my way down the Pacific Coast Highway, pieces of my motorcycle started falling off the bike. It was breaking down. But I made it all the way through Washington, all the way down the Oregon coast, all the way through California, just past Carmel, outside of Monterey. That's when it all fell apart. In that moment, the motorcycle came to a screeching halt as I'm driving down the road. I kept the bike upright, but I hopped off the bike and drug it over to the side of the road. And with my newly purchased little pup tent, I set it on the shore, on the cliffs overlooking the ocean, and just sat there thinking to myself, now what? I threw myself into the present, into the potential of the moment, and completely rejected everything I had become in that moment. And now it left me completely out of money, with a broken, well, that's not accurate. I had $4.27 to my name. I had it laid out on the sleeping bag as I'm sitting there looking out over the shore. So I'm very little money. My motorcycle's broken. I don't know anybody for 2,000 miles. This is the day before cell phones, folks. So I had nothing. I was broke down, and at the end of the road. And I remember sitting there, and this moment of despair overtook me. And this rejection of the identity I had created when I stepped so fully into the present moment. And now here I was completely alone with nothing. Empty, scared, with fear at the end of the road. And I remember sitting in my little tent overlooking the ocean with no idea what I was going to do, deeply in the present and no path forward. And I saw on the horizon a flash of lightning. And when that flash of lightning, miles off in the distance, when it struck the ocean, it was like something in me opened. And I realized that I didn't need to reject my identity to achieve my potential. I didn't need to reject everything I had become. All those neuro programs I had laid down when I was 3 years old and my brain was forming 1 million neural connections a minute, that was who I was. I didn't need to reject that part of myself to become whole. In fact, it was exactly the wrong direction. And with that cognitive shift that happened in my mind, it was amazing. Something shifted in the world. It was like the world became different. And within a day and a half, I had a house in the hills of California with a hot tub over the ocean. The universe is magic beyond my ability to understand it. But I'm limited by my own constraints, as we all are. The choice is yours. You can be a fish in a bowl and live in that blissfully ignorant life, or you can reach down into the depths of yourself and find that within you is that ocean that's available. It's a choice. In this time of reunion, of bringing the elements back together, I ask you to not sit as a participant in your seat, but to sit as an active individual who is part of this process, reintegrating the parts of yourself, creating a sense of reunion within. Because let me tell you, now more than ever, we need the best version of you. We need you to lead yourself first. Don't resist who you are. Celebrate it, and celebrate the reunion of Naropa. So thank you. I appreciate your time today. This is fantastic.